Welcome, friends, to the VLTV show this evening. Our first guest tonight says he is first and foremost a King James Bible-believing follower of the Lord Jesus Christ. He is a proud member of a group called Gideon's Army, which meets weekly to pray, read the Bible, and give counsel to each other regarding the topic of justice. Their group is proud to make noise and shine light about the innocence of political prisoners such as Schaeffer Cox and expose corruption. Here to do just that is our guest, Rudy Davis. Rudy is joined by another guest who is a strong supporter for Schaeffer Cox as well. Her relationship with Schaeffer started with a dream she had about him, which led to her writing to Schaeffer in prison, and ultimately has ended up as her being his power of attorney, running his website, and overseeing all of the fundraising for his legal defense. Welcome to the show, Angela Clemens and Rudy Davis.
All right. Hello, guys.
Hey, guys.
Rudy and Angela. How
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming on. We
Yes.
appreciate it very much.
Thank you for taking time out of your schedule. So, in the bio, it was pretty interesting. I can't get past this, so I'm going to have to ask right away. Tell us a little bit more, Angela, about the dream and how that led to you having your relationship with Schaeffer as you do.
Well, I had a dream, and I couldn't hear everything you read. But before that time, I had never been in prison ministry or written a prisoner or never known a prisoner. And I had a dream about someone, and a long story short, I ended up on a beach by a campfire with this man, and the rocks were by the water and a tree. And I actually thought it was about someone who was probably deceased. But the next day, I heard the name Schaeffer Cox on Facebook. When I heard his name on Facebook, I had this certitude in my heart that I knew that that was the person in my dream. So out of nowhere, I wrote him a letter, and I told him about my dream. And he wrote me the 3 things he said he wanted to do when he gets out of prison is swim in the ocean, build a fire, and plant a tree. And so that's how it all began.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
Hey, so Rudy, can you give us a background to Schaeffer Cox, who he is, what happened? Just a short little background for us.
You bet, Jim. And let me say that if any of us get thrown in prison, may we be fortunate enough to have somebody like Angela Clemens advocating for us. She is an absolute angel, and she is a just nonstop work effort to advocate for Schaeffer Cox. So praise God for Angela. But Schaeffer's background, he is, I don't even know where to start because there's so many places, but he was running for Congress at the Congress. He was running for the Alaska House of Representatives at the age of 24. And in a 3-way race, he nearly won. He just missed by a few points. And he climbed Mount McKinley 3 times. He was raised by a Baptist minister. His dad attended West Point. He was homeschooled. And he was very charismatic. He had a strong sense of justice his whole life. And Schaeffer has a unique ability to write and to reach out and touch your soul. I mean, if anybody has read the writings of Schaeffer from prison, an example will be when he replied to a little girl named Ruth that had a dream about being in prison, and his reply to her is absolutely phenomenal. It's called the reply to Ruth, No Fear.
Dear Schaeffer, this is Ruth. I'm glad you like the pictures I sent of being baptized in the river and pictures at the zoo. The weirdest thing happened to me. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'll try. It's 9:30 in the morning, and I haven't even seen my parents yet because I started writing this letter when I woke up. The reason is because I had a dream. Me and my mom were put in jail. I can't remember why, but it was stupid. I do remember sitting on a cement floor crying. I also remember my sentence is 12 years. I turned that over and over in my head, in the dream, and every time I thought about it, I cried. It was the worst dream I have had in my entire life. But I think God wanted me to have it because in a way, I can almost understand what you're going through. That may sound stupid. I just had to write you a letter. Well, I woke up, I wanted to scream for joy, but I know the rest of my family would not enjoy that, so I just looked out of the window and smiled. Then I got a piece of paper and pencil and started to write. Well, I would write more, but it's Sunday and I have to get ready for church. Dear Ruth, I just read your letter about your dream where you were in prison and had gotten 12 years. You said you were on the floor crying in your dream. I understand. It's common for us to have dreams that shake loose our emotions at a very deep level. This sounds like one of those dreams. Those kinds of dreams, maybe your subconscious was finding a way to expand your capacity for empathy. This means you have a good heart and want good for other people. Only kind and loving people feel other people's pain. The opposite of love is not hate, it is indifference. You have God's love in your heart. That's why you are not indifferent when you see me and see the pain of others. This is all good. Don't hate the pain. It means you are alive. Bad things have been done to me because I'm righteous, and bad things can be done to you the same way. But the key point is these evil people are horrified at the faithful, and the only ones of us who will get to see this firsthand are those of us who get persecuted. In that respect, our persecution is an honor and our servitude a survivable adventure that opens our eyes to things most people can't see. I've seen a lot of men break under the torture and abuse. I've also seen a lot who didn't break. It's not the tough guys who can hold up under torture. It's the guys with a pure heart. Ruth, you have the kind of pure heart that could survive even the worst of it. It's beautiful. Hold on to that. But fear is a sneaky, creeping poison that can kill the heart. Fear makes us close ourselves off. Our hearts don't die from loving, from being stabbed or burned or trampled upon. They die from experiencing fear. The Bible says, "Fear not," more than any other phrase. It repeats that many hundreds of times. We have to learn to let ourselves be fearless if we want to experience God's presence in our lives. Perhaps this frightful dream you had is an invitation for you to let go of your fear and find your gentle courage, a full life, and true love. Courage in the face of danger is perhaps the deepest form of worship we have. It is in our moments of battle and tragedy and pain that our spirit can whisper the most unpretentious prayers of confident trust to our King. God has woven His own fearless nature into our soul, and it is that divine nature within us that must step forward in the face of danger. Your dream was about being thrown in a prison cell for 12 years. The odds are that such a thing will never actually happen to you. You're a young female, and the empire will likely crumble before you're old enough to be considered a threat. What has already happened is that your fears have made themselves known and invited you to overcome them. You must navigate to the here and now, regardless of what the future may or may not hold. If you can supply your fear with forbearance and valor, you will have multiplied your capacity for blessing sevenfold. You will have become wholehearted, and wholeheartedness is the virtue that begets all others. On the other hand, fear is the soil out of which all the thorns and briars of life grow. We fear we cannot make an honest living, so we cheat and steal. We fear that we will not be loved for who we are, so we lie. We fear we cannot endure the pain, so we take the easy way out. We fear we will be taken advantage of, so we don't live without limits. We fear we will fail, so we don't even try. It all starts and ends with fear.
He also wrote an article about lions and needles. And it talks about, prisoners and how they would prefer to die. To give a background on Schaeffer, you have to really understand his charismatic personality and how he was a rising Liberty star in the state of Alaska. And he would have gone somewhere. There's no doubt that Schaeffer would have had a political future had they not taken him out like they did and set him up and entrapped him. So we believe that Schaeffer is completely innocent and that, they set him up and entrapped him, and we want the people who did this held accountable.
Okay. So let's walk through the story a little bit then.
Can I first ask how Rudy found out about Schaeffer and
absolutely,
what his background is with him, since we got Angela's?
Yeah.
Oh, you bet. That's a very good question. We first got into this kind of movement, prison ministry movement, with a man by the name of Terry Lakin. He has a website called terrylakin.com, and you can go check out his story. So I went to his court martial and I saw what they did to him. And then we got involved with a man by the name of Dr. Kent Hovind. Many of you know him as Dr. Dino. He's a very famous creation science evangelist, and he debates evolution all throughout the country. And he had been in prison 9 years, but they were trying to put him in prison another 20 years. And I wrote him a letter, and he wrote me back, similar to Angela. I didn't have a dream, but I just included my home phone number, and he calls me up on the phone. And lo and behold, he starts telling me the story, and I was like, I can't walk away. And that's what many of the people who hear the story of Schaeffer Cox, they've been given a heart by God that once they hear the story, they can't walk away. Well, Ken Hovind, there was a mighty miracle that happened in a Florida federal courthouse, and he was set free. And that was just a move of God Almighty, because 98% of the time in the federal courts, they win. Well, I thought my prison ministry was done. I didn't want to stay in this the rest of my life. I was going to move on with my life, and that would be the end of it. But my wife, I remember I was just about to go to sleep, and my wife showed me a Schaeffer Cox video. It's called The Solution Speech in Montana, and I recommend your audience watch it. Mm-hmm. Schaeffer will show his heart. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak. Schaeffer gives an incredible speech on liberty called The Solution Speech in Montana. And even though I was sleepy and I wanted to go to bed, I said, this man will not let me go to sleep. And I watched him give this speech, and I said, where is this man now? And they said, my wife said he's in prison. I said, no, there's something going on here. And we started to write to Schaeffer. I've got over 300, 400 letters from him.
Wow.
We've communicated with him on core links. We used to receive phone calls from him. But let me say this, Angie and Jim, both Angela and I have been banned by the prison system from communicating with Schaeffer just in the past few months.
Wow.
Because I believe Angela was doing such a good job at advocating for the truth and putting out exposing of the evildoers that set him up and entrapped him. I believe I was contributing to that a little bit too. And they will not let us communicate with Schaeffer anymore, either via U.S. letters or phone or the Core Links prison mail system.
Wow.
They intercept letters. Since when is that not a federal crime to intercept federal mail?
No, yeah. So we want to get the story out. We want people to understand exactly what happened and how he got railroaded. And we want to get into why you think he got railroaded. What was he going to expose that was that scared them so much, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's not that I believe it. I believe it with every core fiber of my being that this man is innocent. You can't really fully understand the case of Schaeffer Cox without going back to Senator Ted Stevens. Senator Ted Stevens was one of the longest running Republican senators in Alaskan state history. There's a Alaskan Department of Justice officials that went after Senator Ted Stevens, and they got a false conviction on him. And when I say they got a false conviction, that's just not my opinion. Even the judge called it out, and they had to overturn the jury decision. There's a book that was written by one of Senator Ted Stevens' lawyers called Not Guilty, The Unlawful Prosecution of United States Senator Ted Stevens. And in that particular case, the prosecutor's name is Joseph Bottini. Joseph Bottini was penalized and, basically got a slap on the wrist for withholding exculpatory evidence, using known perjured testimony from a child pedophile. In other words, he made a deal with a child pedophile to go after an innocent senator. The senator was completely innocent. All of this is documented. This is not my opinion. There was a senator in Alaska that said he would expose what's going on, and he was going to hold these people accountable in the Department of Justice. They were called the Polar Pen Team. And I think the senator's name, if I'm not mistaken, is Senator Dan Stevens. He even held a press conference about it, that it was terrible what they did in the case of Senator Ted Stevens. Ultimately, nothing really happened. Even Joseph Bottini, who did all of these evil things, when I say evil things, he also had a relationship with the media, and he leaked information to the media to demonize Senator Ted Stevens and the media so he would not get a fair trial. Also, he lost the re-election. Obamacare would never have came to a vote if Senator Ted Stevens had been allowed to stay in office. And the only reason, or one of the main reasons that this all came out about Senator Ted Stevens is that we had a whistleblower in the FBI named Chad Joy. You can look up FBI whistleblower Chad Joy, and he blew the whistle on the whole thing. There was a judge named Judge Emmett Sullivan, and he overturned the false conviction of Senator Ted Stevens. And Senator Ted Stevens, even though he was convicted by a jury, the judge overturned it because he said the Department of Justice was so bad. We even have clips from Congress that talk about the bad prosecutors in the Department of Justice. There was a book written by Sidney Powell called License to Lie. I think it was mentioned by Rush Limbaugh not too long ago, and everybody's trying to get it on Amazon. I've read the book as well. The point I'm trying to make is the main prosecutor that was going after Senator Ted Stevens, the same one who withheld exculpatory evidence, used known perjured testimony, demonized Senator Ted Stevens in the media, was the lead prosecutor for Schaeffer Cox. And yet we don't have a whistleblower in the case of Schaeffer Cox. So, you know, they don't do anything about it. Plus, he's the son of a Baptist minister, and he doesn't have a lot of fame or, finances like Senator Ted Stevens did. If they can do this to Senator Ted Stevens, who had access to the best legal team in the entire world, what chance does Schaeffer Cox have, the son of a Baptist minister? And that's exactly what they did. They withheld exculpatory evidence. They destroyed evidence. Some of the statements that I'm going to make, people are going to think are a little outlandish, and they're going to think I'm going over the top, but it's not. I can prove everything that I say. There was an audio recording that was recorded by the FBI informant named Bill Fulton. Bill Fulton, it's called the Pikes Landing audio recording.
So is this the recording you've got? Is this just of
No, this is
that meeting?
the whole day.
So that's all day Sunday then? Okay.
Yeah, I accidentally had it on all day. Damn me. But see, the problem was I didn't know how to work the recorder right. So the second day, when I really actually needed it, it was fucking full. I don't want to, yeah, I know. But at least I got the Schaeffer Cox meeting. You guys can get a better idea of what.
So, have you talked to Schaeffer yet?
No, I talked to Jeremy.
He came down yesterday?
No, he didn't come down here. I talked to him on the phone. He was supposed to swing by today, but he's busy because he's doing some court filings.
Okay.
Some malicious court filings to fucking waste people's time, I guess. He's one of those guys that likes to file 8,000 things and fucking waste everybody's time.
Does he live down here, or?
Yeah, he lives in Anchorage.
Okay. Is he running the local militia then?
No.
Okay.
No.
Interesting.
I don't think I know there's people in Anchorage, in militias. I don't think there's an actual militia here.
Okay.
Because the way it's been is, our guys are coming up from Anchorage, or these guys' are coming up from Anchorage. It's never the Anchorage guys are coming up.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I hear you.
There we go.
Emery's come a long way after Conte stuff. So is this the meeting you had Saturday night then?
Yeah, the night before the big meeting.
All right. So we got Cox, Lester,
and me.
Okay.
I'm Bill. I don't. Sorry about the close condition. right, so, give me my assessment.
I love you, Jerry.
I've made a lot of people mad, and I'm going to continue to do that.
You always have.
I'm not going out of show business.
I think I was pissed off.
Go on. I'm not going out of show business. And not making them mad in every way with this people.
Does Jeremy know what room we're in?
No, he's coming.
Okay. Well, let me, I just won't use this. Where these guys are fucking tweaking. Hey, Jesus, we're going to be expecting a third. So if you want to inform the rest of the guys, don't freak out. Are you there?
Did Jeremy make it to the
Yeah,
meeting?
so there's going to be a third guy coming in. Okay.
Jeremy's the reason why I said I need that crash course in crazy government. You have no idea, dude.
Alright,
Go on.
so they're looking to escalate.
Okay.
And I don't want them to. Office of Children's Services.
I ain't but wait and clean it.
Reason that I'm cause or anything. They're just saying, well, we want to take your son just for an interview. That's the first thing. Like, well, we just want an interview. It's like 1.5.
They don't even talk.
I say, no. So then they're going off of, well, you're not cooperating, so that's justified cause if there must be something bad there. You're hiding something bad. And then they pull a picture of him off of Facebook playing with ammunition. And so they're like, oh, so we gotta, raid the house and make sure that there's no unsafe firearms in the house. And like making.
Is there a law about how you have to keep your firearms? I didn't see one last time I checked. Go on.
When children are property of the state, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So we're fighting them on that. Marty and I are just in lockstep fighting these people.
Marty is all.
Overwork.
Hey, take a guess on that one.
To a judge with ex parte writ assistance. You know about that.
I'm aware.
Judge granted that. Without talking to us, without, not just granted.
Well, he's a judge,
So you appeal,
Is all ex parte.
but you have 4 days to appeal.
It was hard. I'll just keep up.
Okay, but go on. Sorry.
So it goes out there. Of course, I have an attorney. He's objecting to all of this, all the way along. We go down and try to get the word to the appropriate people that we're not going to cooperate with that. And at the same time, we do not want this to spark bloodshed.
Yeah.
Because there are people there that, and I don't want to put my influence to the test and see if me telling 3,500 guys to stand down and not retaliate would be listened to.
3,500.
And then, I have my day where you go back and forth and it's like, well, I hate living like this. And there's a lot of other people that are living like this. And maybe we should just let it go down.
But here's the thing, Peter. But I don't think we have the numbers yet.
I don't think that the average person is uncomfortable enough yet.
Let me get more under this.
Saturday, we just happened in the coffee shop. And he's probably told me yes, because there's a lot of talk that goes around. But he said, if they take Schaeffer's child, he said, I'll go take out the judge that ordered it. And I think he meant it.
Who's the wife talking about?
Take crap out of the end, but anyway, that's
Some guy at the coffee
But there's
shop.
thousands.
Which is bullshit.
And
they're really awful.
and
You
you
guys can be the grand jury.
Is your grand jury?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are there warrants?
Are there warrants? What do you mean?
Have you charged people into the grand jury yet? Have you done the proper process before this gets stupid?
No, and we are, the grand jury is working as
That one was
fast
good,
as they
guys.
can.
You're welcome.
Now, what the grand jury did do, let me finish this one.
Sorry, go on.
Okay.
I fucking
Cops, cops, this is what we heard, is that the troopers told OCS when they got the writ of assistance we don't have the manpower to execute this. So, take it back. We're not going to execute this. Not worth dying over. That's what the cops say.
Yeah.
They're like, oh man, I hope that that's true. So, we're supposed to go to this secret trial, closed hearing. This was the rumor that was, although the judge actually didn't kick anybody out, on Tuesday. Last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay.
This is right after I talked to you.
Yep.
So I talked to you, I think, on Monday.
Yep. So we're supposed to go to the hearing. Marty and I are supposed to be able to go in there and object, and all of this is just for an interview.
Yeah.
That's all they're asking for is an interview. But they've thoroughly convinced us that the only reason for an interview is an excuse to take steps.
Yeah.
Put me out of business. Because we, in the beginning, we were like, what? You want an interview? How about this? You've got to do it at our attorney's office with our attorney. And they're like, no. We're like, okay, well, then it can be just you and the kid, but the whole thing's going to be video. And they were like, no, won't happen. I'm like, really firm, like, put it down. They will not allow any kind of documentation of that interview. So they can say whatever they want. So that's why we're not going to let them do it.
Recorded that recording. The reason we know he recorded it is because in another recording, like a few nights later, you can hear it in the background, and they're referring to it. And yet when they say that's the smoking gun where Schaeffer was going to hire, officials to get killed. He was going to hire Bill Fulton to kill somebody. Well, we say, let's go get that audio recording. Obviously, you guys got it. We heard it in the other audio recording. We heard it in the background. Well, Bill Fulton and the DOJ said that occurred without proper approval, and we asked Bill Fulton to destroy it. That's hogwash. That's hogwash. That's absolutely crazy. And so they supposedly asked Bill Fulton to destroy the smoking gun. I'm here to tell you, Angie and Jim, there is no smoking gun. Schaeffer did not want to hire anybody to be killed. Matter of fact, we have on audio, and this is one of those outlandish things that your audience will think is outlandish, but we can prove it. We have on audio where Bill Fulton was threatening the life of Schaeffer Cox. He was threatening to slit his throat and bleed him out at his, curse word feet.
No, he's just on vacation.
Oh. Last night I had a different sort of...
Did you have a tip?
I think I told him I was going to slit his throat and bleed him out at my feet. I believe that was the exact term. Slit your fucking throat and bleed you out at my feet, you son of a bitch. This was like the second time I'd ever met him. And I was literally coming over the counter with a knife. I had a knife. I was ready to fucking do it.
Is that right?
Okay.
I'm the cute waitress, but if you grab my ass, we're gonna have issues.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I've been tipped a couple times.
Damn it.
Yeah.
See, now you sound like one of Aaron's guys.
Yeah.
That's okay.
He was
I can
always
deal with the gauge.
They breathed on it. It gets to you.
Okay, so when you guys get back, what you need to do is have a talk with Schaeffer. And remind Schaeffer about what happened last time when I almost killed Wes.
Okay, yeah, he remembers that.
Oh, he remembers that.
Oh, I'm sure he does, but I want you to re-remember him.
Yeah, get the timing right on this thing and organize.
I submit to you folks, you get 5 hours of audio, okay? You try to find a statement anywhere about Bill Fulton's trying to kill me, Aaron Bennett's trying to kill me, you're not going to find it. You can look through all the documents you want. You can go through all 900 of them. You're not going to find it.
My plan is to hide, to avoid, but if I get busted, if I get captured, I'm not going to do a Rambo, I'm going to do a Gandhi. If I get captured, I'm not going to do a Rambo, I'm going to do a Gandhi.
This is the commander's meeting. This is where guys that are in command and control are going to fucking feel each other out, and we're going to know by the end of the weekend, okay, this is a guy that I can work with, and I can't work with you, and I'm going to tell those people, look, forget my name, don't fucking talk to me. If anything happens, stay the fuck away from me, or I'll kill you. And as long as those understandings are there, you're good. Kind of, depending on what side you're on.
I don't, you know.
I mean, the only reason I didn't break it off with Schaeffer's group is because of Schaeffer after that thing was last. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
So it must have been pretty bad, pretty tense with Les, huh?
Oh, I was seriously going to kill him.
Is that right?
I was going to fucking end his existence on this planet. Yeah, I was not fucking around at all. Well, what happened was, that was last summer when Schaeffer didn't know which way it was going to go with the cops, whether or not they were going to come and try to take his kid. And essentially, he said, you know, Schaeffer and Les came to the hotel and they were sitting there and we're talking. They said, look, this is what's going to happen. And when Les said, this is what's going to happen, after they left, they started making phone calls. They had fucking trucks coming to pick up our Onyxes. I had people fucking moving on aircraft. Because they said, it's a go. It's going to happen. So we had a meeting over there in shop the next day, and we're all standing there, and there's people coming in. You know, I mean, I was in like $5-6 grand at that point in time, and I'm like, okay, if it's going to happen, you know, let's do it.
We're ready, yeah.
And so we're standing there, and Schaeffer was supposed to be there, but he had something else to do, so he was like an hour late, so I was drinking some beers. Not that I normally drink or anything, I'm just saying. And the meeting finally starts, and we're talking, and then I'm like, look, Les, what is the plan here? We have people in motion. We have things, events
happening,
unfolding. This is your guys' show. What's your plan? And he's like, well, we don't have a plan. And I just fucking lost it. I literally grabbed a knife, started coming over the counter, and I was like, I'll fucking slit your throat open and bleed you out of my feet, you fucking piece of shit. What do you mean you don't have a fucking plan? I was like, that's all you guys do is fucking plan. What the fuck is your plan? Well, we thought you guys would have one. I thought you were calling me. Fuck you.
And is that the any way for an FBI informant to act? They sent in FBI informants to provoke Schaeffer to violence, to get him to act out, and he never did. The only thing Schaeffer Cox wanted to do is to leave the state of Alaska. And there is no doubt in my mind that this is an entrapment scheme by the FBI. I'm going to say something else, too. The FBI, I believe, they interfere in the free and fair elections in this country. And they looked across the landscape, and they tried to take down Senator Ted Stevens. They tried to take down Schaeffer Cox. They tried to take down others that were posing a threat to the establishment. One of you might have heard of the political prisoner named he's an American Indian. Help me with the name. He's very famous. Leonard Peltier. Thank you, Angela.
Angela, thank you.
Thank you. Sometimes my mind will let a few things drop. But Leonard Peltier.
Mine too.
His FBI agent came out on camera, and his name is Jack Ryan, and we have him on camera saying that the main function of the FBI is to squelch political dissent in this country. And that's exactly what they were trying to do with Schaeffer. They knew that he had a spirit of freedom. He was enacting all kinds of programs in Alaska.
Yeah.
Hundreds, if not thousands of people at a time would show up in his halls to listen to him speak about liberty, the Second Amendment, exposing the Federal Reserve. There were people coming to him with reports of child pedophilia in the Ocean View house in Alaska, and he was talking about that. He had a program called the Liberty Bell Network that would have held police accountable. I could go on and talk about the wonderful things that Schaeffer Cox was doing at a very young age. And yet the FBI put him on the radar, and they entrapped him, and they have put him in a prison. But I believe what they intended for evil, God will use for good. And I appreciate programs like yours that allow us to speak about Schaeffer Cox and his innocence.
So go ahead, Andrew. You going to say something? I was going to say, so we have a pure constitutionalist here, Schaeffer Cox.
Yes.
That is being condemned because he was a constitutionalist, right? He talked about people's rights, right?
It sounds a little absurd. You know, they would target him for that, but that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. He was a very charismatic leader, exposing the Federal Reserve, exposing the Second Amendment, advocating for the Second Amendment. And exposing corruption in the local community of Alaska. And they said, this man has to go. And they tried to come after him by going after his child. Mm-hmm. There was a picture put on Facebook where his child was sitting on a shag rug playing with bullets. Okay, there was no gun around. And it wasn't a big deal. But they used that as a foot in the door to go after and say Schaeffer was mistreating his children. And they said so many bad things about Schaeffer. They said that he beat his wife. We've got the pictures they took that night. The Bill Fulton has written a book in order to advance his own career and to make money off the fact that he was involved with Schaeffer Cox. And inside the book, he talks about Schaeffer beating, curse word out of his wife. That's not true. There wasn't anything that was happened that night. Schaeffer has described the story. We have the pictures. There was a problem and a disagreement with the mother-in-law, but there was no beating. There was no physical abuse. And even the wife wrote an affidavit afterward and said the whole thing was blown out of proportion by my mother-in-law. Yet Schaeffer's enemies will try to take advantage of that and blow everything way out of proportion. And so you'll hear all of these Southern Poverty Law Center complaints about Schaeffer, but I'm here to tell you, he is a liberty advocate. He is a constitutionalist. There is no doubt in my mind he would have had a political future in this country. The FBI recognized that, and they went after him. And there's a lot of evil things the FBI has done in order to target Schaeffer Cox.
Yeah. Okay, Angela, what would you like to add to that? Do you have specific instances or different things that you would like to add to let our viewers know?
I wanted to add that his case was a state case. When they tried to entrap him, it was a state case. They took him to court in Alaska, and he was found innocent. And the fact that the federal government took him back to court in federal court means that they have illegally been holding him. And the tapes that prove his innocence, I always say, even the federal government knows he's innocent. That's why they did not want the tapes to be played in federal court. So that they were played in Alaska, and that's why he was found innocent, because the tapes prove his innocence. So.
Yeah. Wow.
So I got a question. So we know that the FBI is complicit in all of this. How high does this go up? Either one can answer. How high does this go up in the government?
I think it goes all the way to the top. And I'm going to share with you a couple of books. There's a book called The Terror Factory. The Terror Factory Inside the FBI's Manufactured War on Terrorism by a man by the name of Trevor Aronson. And inside that book, it mainly focuses on the Muslim community. But what we need to realize is that it doesn't just go on in the Muslim community. It goes on in the Black community, and it also goes on in the Patriot Christian community. Yeah. But it talks about how FBI informants are given incentives to not only set up the target, but also to get a conviction. It's not just like, you normally think of an FBI informant going in to collect information. I'm going to collect information. I'm going to report back to my FBI handlers what was said. But this is way beyond that. This is the FBI actually provoking a crime when there is none. Right. And that's what the book covers that's happening in the Muslim community. And they talk about how the FBI is manufacturing terrorism when there was none before. And if you pay the FBI as an organization millions of dollars to find terrorists, guess what they're going to do? It doesn't matter if there's terrorists. They're going to find terrorists, and they will manufacture terrorism, and that's what that book is all about. There's another movie I would like to recommend to your audience as well. It's called Terror Error, and it's on Netflix. It's about a man by the name of Khalil Ali Akili. And I used to communicate with him before the warden stopped me from communicating with him too. And he was entrapped by the FBI.
Do you believe in freedom? Do you believe in truth? Do you appreciate those who go above and beyond to help you keep your freedoms and bring you truth? Here at VL, we strive every day to bring you quality interviews and real news. Many of our interviews are exclusive and groundbreaking. These quality pieces take many hours to prepare, edit, and bring to you on as many platforms as possible. If this hard work and dedication is something you would like to see us continue, please consider supporting VL in our endeavors. You can help in a number of ways. If you have a Roku device, please download our channel, VL TV. We will soon have a premium option, which will allow you to watch all of our programs ad-free. If you do not wish to pay the $2.99 per month for our premium channel, you will still be supporting us, as our regular VL TV channel will have advertising. If you do not have a Roku device, you can still support VL by becoming a Patreon for as little as $1 per month. You can also help support our efforts by liking and subscribing to us on our website and other social platforms such as BitChute, Facebook, Twitter, Gab, and on our backup YouTube channel. Be sure to like and comment as much as possible. As the social media algorithms continue to stifle us, we need all of the interaction we can get to keep us alive. Thank you for your continued support.